What does that mean? It means go to the other side. Just stand over there.
I don't know what that's
Anyone
from.
who doesn't play Penny Heart is a bitch.
It's Wedding Crashers. Come on.
Is that a Matt Savoca opinion, or are you reading that somewhere?
No, it's Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson.
No, Matt's okay. I was referring to the Penny Hart take, not the.
Oh.
I did ask
I'm
you
all
about
state,
yours.
Greg.
Too.
I can put the
what
ball wherever I
movie is
want.
that from? What movie is that from?
Which one?
It's definitely the
Owen
Wedding
Wilson.
Crashers football scene.
Wedding Crashers football scene. That's what it is.
I just rewatched that last year, and I still don't catch the reference.
So good.
Sad.
You'll figure it out one day.
One day.
Maybe it is creepy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Monday Night Live Before Lock Show. I'm your host, Eric Lindquist. I'm excited to be here talking a little pigskin. We're going to be talking Washington football team, Seattle Seahawks, the disappointing Seattle Seahawks, that's for sure. But as we're getting going here, I've got the two guys that are going to be giving you all the goods here leading up to lock at 5:15 out here on the West Coast, 8:15 for you regular people there, burning the oil out on the East Coast. But hey, I got Neil Orfield. I got Matt Savoca. I'm so happy to have both here. Let's introduce Matt Savoca here first, my guy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here after a live before lock we did yesterday. A crazy main slate, did not have enough Leonard Fournette or Joe Mixon, but I'm excited to break this one down. Hopefully the Seahawks are less of the meh-hawks, which is what they've been the last 2 weeks.
I like what you did there. Keep it going. Hey, how we doing over there on Neil Orfield, Millionaire Maker winner? If you didn't know that already, you probably should. That's a good way to introduce somebody. Hey, how's it going over there, Neil?
It's going well. I noticed that you forgot your roots. You mentioned the West Coast time, the East Coast time. You just skip right over flyover country. No, you don't care about Central time? It is 6:17 here in Minnesota.
I was going to say.
I'm doing well.
You're doing well at 6:17. I grew up in South Dakota, obviously on the east side of the state, west side of the state's mountain time. So we could touch every single time zone, touch them all. You know, that's a what's his announcer? I can't even remember right now, but it doesn't matter. We're going to hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, because I want to get to talking this football game here right off the bat. We got Seattle going in to visit Washington. We've had some late news, which I'm kind of excited about. I'm going to bounce that over to Matt Savoca because he's the guy who brought it to my attention here before the show. We had some tweets coming in from Rinpack, my dude, Rinpack, over on the Slate Starter, the NBA Slate Starter podcast. Check that out every single night, Monday through Friday. But what is the breaking news that we got here, Matt Savoca, that we need to factor in before we start building lineups?
Yeah, he just pointed to a tweet. I am going to butcher this name. Ethan _Cadeau says that Ron Rivera said on ESPN that he's hoping for Logan Thomas to play about 30 to 35 snaps, for Curtis Samuel 15 to 20. Both players are active tonight, and that's a big deal for the Washington offense. I made a comment on an earlier show today where I think the Washington passing game is getting to the point where it's the healthiest it's been all season if those players are playing a full snap share. Now, those players aren't playing a full snap share. We're certainly going to see more of a rotation than I thought. I think we're going to see more of tight end John Bates than I expected. I think we're going to see plenty of Adam Humphries more than I expected. I also think this probably means an increased snap share for DeAndre Carter, who had seen an increased role in the offense and that I had predicted was going to go back to more of a special teams role. He probably still has a decent snap share in this game as well now.
Nice. Yeah, I think that all makes a lot of sense. Makes me feel good because Adam Humphries was a guy I identified early this morning. I did a video for another site. We don't want to talk about them here on the Prize Picks show. Of course, this is NFL Live Before Lock presented by Prize Picks. So keep it to that. But Adam Humphries, somebody that I already thought maybe had a little bit lower snap count as a result of the positive game script that they had as small dogs here at home. I think that Adam Humphries was somebody I was valuing up, and now I want to value up a little bit more. Neil Orfield, I know you're over there playing 48 different sites here today, but what are you kind of doing to factor in this news?
Yeah, so I was getting to a whole lot of Curtis Samuel just because we only have him at 10% ownership. I had heard earlier in the day that he was going to be on a snap count, and I assumed that was lowering his ownership. I had not heard an exact number, and this number kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, it just takes one play for a guy like Curtis Samuel to pay it off. So I'm still going to try to have a little bit, but I'm definitely not going to be going well over the field anymore. And Logan Thomas, I'm redoing my crunches now, but yeah, I'm definitely lowering there as well. I'm probably going to try to be right around the field, maybe a little bit under the field at 15.4 projected ownership. I think I'm going to go a little bit lower on Logan Thomas, lower than the field, and instead try to get more of John Bates since he's only projected for 4% ownership. I think that's a spot that you can kind of take advantage of the news.
God, nothing like playing wide receiver fives. I love NFL Showdown. Keep it coming, baby. Let's get to this. We got 55 minutes to rock out. Let's start with the quarterback position like we always do. We're going to go position by position like we always do. Matt Savoca, Russell Wilson. This hasn't been Russell Wilson's year. The dude busts up his finger in a primetime game. Geno Smith takes his reprieve there for a little while. Now we got him back in the fray, and he doesn't look right. This entire offense doesn't look right. What do you see with Russell Wilson, and what is your confidence level in him today?
Oh, man. The confidence level is not high. I'll tell you that much. What do I see in him today? I see a really, really wide range of outcomes. We were talking briefly before the show started about how I just am trying to view the Seattle Seahawks offense sort of like a new season where they've completely underperformed in the first 2 weeks of the season. And we know what Russell Wilson's ceiling game is like because we've got years of that in our game log history. But I'm not so sure we see it based on his injury, based on the last 2 weeks. It was nice to see him get over 8 yards per attempt, but still on just 26 pass attempts against Arizona, you're looking at 207 passing yards, 2 straight single-digit fantasy point performances. I didn't really know that was the floor in the range of outcomes for Russell Wilson. Maybe it wasn't before this injury, but I think the most jarring thing when you look at our projections today is that Taylor Heineke has a higher median projection than Russell Wilson. Certainly the ceiling is there, but man, the floor is really different than I thought.
Another thing that makes me feel good this morning, hopefully we can just have my lineups from this morning work out here for this evening, because Taylor Heineke is a guy that I'm very, very high on. But to round out the Russell Wilson talk, Neil Orfield, I always like asking you, do you have more or less than the field? And I know that you're somebody just like myself, just like everybody here that are Awesemo subs that realize how good the tools are. We both rely very heavily in trying to figure out how to factor in some of these guys. Russell Wilson, a sub 10% captain optimal percentage, less than Taylor Heineke, less than DK Metcalf. On DraftKings specifically, simply because you have the captain, the 1.5, and FanDuel also 1.5. How are you kind of handling getting to a guy like Russell Wilson in this spot, considering he will be extremely popular?
Yeah, so currently I have a lot of Russell Wilson in the flex and not a lot of captain. I am under the 10% projected rostership at captain. I think that he's a good play. He's just also the most expensive play on the slate. So I'm going to be going to a lot more of Taylor Heineke. Like you said, he's got a higher median projection than Russell Wilson for significantly cheaper. So yeah, I'll be going to a lot of Heineke instead of Russell Wilson. I still think that Russell Wilson has the ceiling. I still think that he's likely to get there. He's just got such great receiving options. He's usually a pretty solid quarterback, but just looking at the tools, he looks like he's got a little bit of negative leverage. So in the captain spot, I'm just going a little bit light there.
All right. And back to you, Mr. Savoca, to round out the quarterback position. How much to Russell Wilson and how much to Taylor Heineke are you currently getting in? Let's just talk DraftKings and FanDuel once again.
Yeah, so on DraftKings, I actually have a little bit more Russell Wilson at the captain position, and then I'm significantly under the field at the utility position. I still think the ceiling game is something I want to build lineups for, and there always is the chance that he finally connects with Lockett on a few deep passes, because he still has been doing them, or, DK Metcalf has one of his quintessential monster games here, and it pushes Wilson into that top spot, especially where you have to have the extra boost to your salary on DraftKings. I think people are going to be very wary of playing him there. On FanDuel, I'm just below the field. It's really simple as that. In my latest crunch, it looks like versus the field, I'm almost 20% below the field on Wilson. So I'm taking a stand over there. I'm going to play other spots in tournaments, or other players in that spot in tournaments.
All right. Well, I don't really know what else. I always feel weird talking about quarterback on Showdown, considering 90% of the time, you're just going to be jamming in a lot of both of them in some regard. Maybe not at the field always, but on FanDuel, they're always fantastic plays. On DraftKings, getting away from them is an easy way to get contrarian. If you build lineups that you're kind of saying this game isn't going to shoot out, or, if somebody's extremely expensive like a Lamar Jackson yesterday and it still ends up working out optimal. So that's kind of the game we play here from a DFS perspective. But anything else you want to add to the quarterback position as well, Neil Orfield?
No, I think that you're right on. I mean, they're optimal so much of the time. It's rare that I'm going to fade a quarterback, and in this case, I think both quarterbacks have a lot of upside and relatively high floors. So yeah, I'm going to be getting to a lot of both quarterbacks. I don't. There's no real reason to need to fade them unless you really want to get contrarian and think they're going to be, outscored by some of the pass catchers, running backs. If you think it's going to be a low-scoring game, maybe they're not optimal. But most of the time, you need at least one quarterback. So I'm going to have a lot of both of them.
Hey, Matt Savoca, have you been utilizing any Cyber Monday deals here today?
I've known about an Awesemo one that's pretty good.
Oh, I was going to say, Neil Orfield, have you utilized anything in the Cyber Monday department? You have a wife. I mean, that
tell me more about
helps.
this Awesemo one.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys are a lot of fun. Thank you so much for leaving me high and dry here right off the bat. But we have 1,000 people in here, and I'm telling you, if you are a new user, if you're just new to our brand, if you're new here to the site, utilize this promo because it won't get any better than this. And there's a lot of deals around the industry, and not just here in the industry, but every single company on planet Earth here for Cyber Monday, where they inflate the prices and then they give you the discount. So it's almost like no discount whatsoever. We're not doing that. We are giving you flat out 75% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum with the promo code CYBER, CYBER. Look at that. I can spell. They didn't ding the bell like this was the spelling bee or anything. So utilize that promo code CYBER, all caps, for only $7.50 to get that first week of everything we offer behind the paywall. It doesn't get any better than this. We have the lineup builder for every sport. We have the boom bust tool now for NBA and NFL. We have NHL stacks. We have NHL product that we have Jake Hari just absolutely crushing every single day with. It's no better time to jump into the Awesemo Plus package than right now because of this promo. So Cyber, 75% off. Stop guessing, start winning, and utilize it today. And it will close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. That would be for Neil, because I know he was sad about the Central time. 10:59 p.m. Central time. Look at that. More math. And then for me, 8:59 p.m. out here on the West Coast would be the last time to utilize this offer. It won't get better, so check it out right now. All right. And thank you so much. We got Mike Lawrence. You might know him as Awesemo, somebody who's hanging out there in the chat for years and years. Awesome dude. He's running the production here of our lovely show today. Just want to give him a shout out as well. Doing a great job back and forth with all the screens. So appreciate him as well. Let's jump on over. Oh, look at that. Yeah, no, a little bit of that for you, my guy. All right. Let's jump on over to the running back position. Obviously a very important position. Every position is important, especially some of these like fourth stringers that I know Neil loves to roster. So let's start with Matt Savoca for some of the biggies here on the top end. Where are we kind of looking at for the Seattle running game with Alex Collins primarily getting all of the work for the most part?
Yeah, I think it's pretty big news that we have only DJ Dallas active behind him, and we don't want to rule him out, but at the top, it's definitely Alex Collins, who has gotten a significant snap share over the last 2 weeks here since Russell Wilson has returned. That's kind of what I'm condensing it to. That's the current iteration of the Seahawks offense. We've seen Alex Collins get 57% of the rush attempts, 71% of the running back rush attempts, and 33% of the team's red zone attempts have gone to him as well. That certainly makes him viable on all platforms just from a volume-based standpoint. Obviously, the floor and really the median projection is somewhat middling with the way that the Seattle offense is going, but you can still certainly play him. I'm trying to check right now where I have him on DraftKings, or excuse me, this is FanDuel. Yeah, I'm basically right at the field with Alex Collins. I'm not super enamored by him, but again, you're just grabbing touches on a one-game slate, so you absolutely can play him. I just don't think they have any loyalty to him. I'm worried that they're going to give DJ Dallas touches, possibly quality touches near the goal line. So I don't have a strong feeling other than I want volume on a one-game slate.
Yeah, and I think you can pretty much surmise that we're going to have nearly 100% of the touches between those two guys. It really comes down to breaking down what's going to happen there. DJ Dallas played 37% of the offensive snaps in week 11 up against Arizona there in that loss. And, you know, I don't really know how to go back and forth. I mean, Alex Collins for sure is the guy that's bullish for most people here. But Neil, I feel like you're a guy, and we didn't talk about this at all before the show. Are you over the field on DJ Dallas? Because something tells me that you are.
I am over the field on DJ Dallas. I mean,
It's like we've done shows together or something.
It is, yeah. You know me so well. I mean, the tools like both DJ Dallas and Alex Collins, they both have positive leverage scores. So I'm over the field. I think I'm going to be over the field on both of them. Full disclosure, I am still crunching currently, so I don't know exactly, but in the crunches that I've been doing, I've been getting over the field. I'm trying to get over the field on both Alex Collins and DJ Dallas. I'm not afraid of playing them together. I've said this in the past. I like to embrace a little bit of negative leverage there. They're both cheap enough that they can both get there. So I like playing both of them. I will say I think that Josh Johnson was brought up from the practice squad. I could be wrong about that. So I think that there is at least a
I think you're
option. Right. Okay. So
yeah.
They do have a third option at running back, but I don't know if we have any expectation that he's actually going to see the field. I think it's more likely that they just rotate in Alex Collins and DJ Dallas, but I might try to get to a share or two of Josh Johnson. But primarily I'll be trying to get over the field on DJ Dallas and Alex Collins.
Yeah, Alex Collins, DJ Dallas, Josh Johnson. Those are your three, along with cornerback Gavin Heslop. I don't think I'm going to be rostering him tonight, so just throwing it out there. Definitely think Josh Johnson probably by far the weakest spot to try to be going to there. Guy gets elevated there. Unless there's another D'Ernest Johnson sighting, I'm pretty confident that you're going to see most of those snaps from those two guys. And yeah, just kind of felt like you would be a guy that would be over the field on DJ Dallas. Anything you want to add to the Seattle running back time committee, Mr. Savoca?
Just happy to be on the above the field on DJ Dallas train today. We're getting in sync, guys.
It's painful, but here's the thing. Even if it's like 55-45, 60-40, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to be had here. DJ Dallas. I don't think there's any question I want to be over on him. Now we get to the Washington side, and having a home dog in this spot. How do you kind of feel about Gibson here, Mr. Savoca? Because he's somebody that I thought I would be getting to quite a bit today. I'm just not.
Yeah, he's tougher to get to when you look at the stats on him than when you actually watch him play. And I think he's an incredibly efficient runner. If you just look at overall evaded tackles this season, Antonio Gibson has 63 total. That's third overall in the NFL. And if you just divide it by touches, evaded tackles per touch, he's 11th in the NFL. He's an extremely elusive rusher. But J.D. McKissic is holding him back from getting bell cow snap share and target shares that we really want from top tier running backs. Could Gibson hit for 2 touchdowns in this spot? Absolutely. He's still getting a ton of carries in this offense. 19 carries last week, 24 carries the week before, but he's got some variability in his usage, and the target totals have been at 3 or below in every single week since week 1. So we know that the targets are going to McKissic so long as he's healthy, which he is tonight. So I'll have some of him, but I am definitely below the field on Gibson right now.
How about you, Neil?
So currently I am actually slightly over the field on Gibson in the flex spot. That has not been the case. I actually have been trying to gradually get just a little bit more exposure just because he is such a dynamic playmaker. I was uncomfortable with how low I was on him. I don't think I'm going to have time to recrunch. If I did, I would also try to be in the slightly under on Gibson camp. But I'm okay. I'm not far over the field. I'm just over the field on him. I just think he's a good enough playmaker against the Seattle defense that hasn't been that great that I don't hate being slightly over the field on him, but he is a slightly negative leverage play. So, I'm not going too crazy one way or the other. That's all I can really say about Antonio Gibson. I mean, the snap shares do scare you a little bit. It's split pretty evenly between Gibson and McKissic, and then we've got Jarrett Patterson has been coming on a little bit. He got a fair number of snaps last week, so I don't know what to make of that. But yeah, I'm not going too far from the field either way.
Yeah, and Alex Baker says this all the time. I mean, it's a one-game slate. You're going to roster a lot of everybody. It's just a question of where you're getting at compared to the field, for sure, getting to more or less. And for me, I feel a little bit more comfortable kind of being a little bit lower on this Washington running game if I'm going to be utilizing their pass game. But a guy who is involved in the pass game, and I'm still lower on, and it's uncomfortable, is J.D. McKissic. I'm curious to get your take on him. We know the superb pass-catching ability that he has from time to time, but not necessarily seeing as many snaps as in years in the past.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Either one of you. I mean, I said Neil, but I was going to bounce it over to Matt. Nobody likes Neil anyway. He's just a perfect human being from Minnesota. He's so smiley and rich that, whatever. Matt Savoca, go ahead.
I'm not even the smiliest one on this stream. Anyway, go
I
ahead,
might
Matt.
be third smiliest amongst the three of us. That's terrifying to think about.
Wow. So sorry for being happy. I think McKissick is a fine play. And obviously when you get targets out of the backfield, you can make things happen. But in terms of dynamic ability, we already talked about how Gibson takes the cake there. And then you talk about exactly what Neil mentioned, Jared Patterson creeping up in snap share and in usage last week, 7 attempts, including 2 in the red zone. So McKissick's kind of got to fit through a very narrow window to have a great game here. He could certainly do it. We've seen games where he just racks up a ton of targets. One game scenario that you can build lineups for is the Seahawks look like the Seahawks of old. Russell Wilson balls out and Washington is forced into this catch-up game for most of the second half. In that scenario, I think you see a lot of dump-offs to McKissick. I don't think that's close to the most likely outcome here.
All right. And back over to you. Yes, I stumbled on words. Sorry about it, Tim D. Have a nap. I just like to do that. That was fun. Going back to Jared Patterson, excuse me. Jared Patterson. That's his name. I am correct, right, Neil?
Jared Patterson.
Okay, cool. Glad I got his name correct. That's great. I hate looking at my sheet. But hey, how are you over the field on him too? Because something tells me you are.
I'm not currently. I had been trying to be just over the field.
All right.
Yeah, I mean it's just the matter of my crunches being a little bit slow right now. I can't do exactly what I'm trying to do, but I'm just under the field. I have, I guess, 2.7% Jared Patterson in my 149 crunches, so I can deal with that. He's 1,000. He's not the bare minimum. He probably needs to get into the end zone to really be in the optimal. I don't see that he's going to have enough volume to get there otherwise, most likely. So yeah, I'm factoring in more for the other running backs than trying to get well over the field. If he were the bare minimum, then I might try a little bit harder to get above the field. But if I'm stuck here at slightly under the field, I can live with it.
All right. Well, I think that kind of rounds out the running back position. There's really nowhere else to go other than Jared Patterson. That's like the very, very bottom here. But I think it's a very fascinating position here today. So hopefully something that one of the guys said or myself said that can be something you're utilizing for your lineups here tonight. And let's do this. Let's jump on over to Prize Picks. I think it is time for that. They are the sponsor here of the Live Before Lock show. I'm excited about Prize Picks because people have constantly been starting to hit me up on Twitter, in the premium Discord, which you get when you're a member here at Awesemo.com. People have been asking me more and more about this site, which tells me that it is really gaining some traction. You've probably seen some commercials for it in primetime NFL games now as well. They are really taking off, and this is why. Because they are doing player props with a $100 first match deposit bonus when you use promo code Awesemo. There's no sharks, optimizers, mass entries, none of that crap. You can build 2, 3, 4, or 5 player prop parlays. And you're going to use all of your knowledge, not just in the NFL, but there's NBA, there's cricket sometimes posted, there's disc golf. I mean, if you have a niche sport, you have the opportunity to go to Prize Picks and you have an opportunity to make money playing it. So check that out here. But we've got some NFL plays here for you today. I'm going to start with Neil Orfield over there. What is your favorite play for Prize Picks today?
So I like to look at Odds Shopper when I'm, even though it's not doesn't line up exactly with Prize Picks, I can use it kind of as a reference point for what we're expecting and what the odds we're expecting are. We've got DK Metcalf at 60.5 receiving yards on Prize Picks. I'm taking the over there. On Odds Shopper, we have the over on 64.5 receiving yards. So that's a difference of 4 yards. We're getting even better odds than on 64.5 receiving yards. We have a 58 expected win rate and 11% expected ROI, taking the over. So I'm taking the over on 60.5 receiving yards for DK Metcalf.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's go on over to you, Mr. Savoca. What is your play of the day over at Prize Picks?
Well, let's head over to the disc golf No, I'm just kidding. That would be awesome, though.
Be amazing. I pulled out a women's Euro NBA, or sorry, a WNBA Euro women's prop one day just for fun, and it worked.
That's awesome.
It was good times. Continue.
Okay, so Alex Collins is obviously getting more snaps than he had earlier in the year. But overall this season, he's had over 4 yards a carry. when his snap shares increased, it's gone down to 3.8. That's still pretty solid. At that rate, he only needs about 12 or 13 rush attempts to go well over 47 and a half rush yards. So I think it's a very, very modest prop here. And the Awesemo projections have him smashing that. I believe it's a 79% expected win rate to go over that right now. That's an easy one for me. Just starting running back under 50-yard rush prop. You don't even have to do a whole lot of math to figure out that that might be one to take here.
All right. I love that as well here. I'm going to pull a Lofty card here. I think that this is kind of one of my favorite things to do. I love to compare when you have 1.5 touchdown props or 0.5 touchdown props. Those are things that I like to look at here as well. Passing touchdowns here, looking over around a number of different sports books. It looks like 1.5 is kind of the number there, but Russell Wilson, the over on 1.5 is -135 on a number of spots here, -145 at other spots. I think that can be a nice last piece in. If you're playing like a 5, like with instead of doing the power play where you have to get all 5 right, you can do the 5 where you can go 3, 4, or 5x. I think -145 is a pretty good number to be utilizing as the last player in here. So Russell Wilson, give me the over on 1.5 touchdown passes for him in this spot. I will say too, something that I didn't touch on at the beginning of the show that I probably should have, the strength of schedule for the Seahawks. Can you guys guess what they are based on what I just said? What do you think the strength of schedule is for the Seahawks this season by PFF? First, there you go. Good answer there. They have the toughest strength of schedule. Yeah, no, number 1. And then Washington 4th. So I'm actually expecting a little bit more offense here in this spot, 47 total. I think that might be a little bit low here in this spot. And if I'm expecting points, I'm expecting Russell Wilson to be a main catalyst for this offense. So I like getting the over there. Spoiler alert there. But yeah, same way as you, where I'm playing a little bit more Russell Wilson up in the captain as opposed to the flex. But that, everybody, is Prize Picks. Definitely check it out and use that promo code Awesemo right now for that $100 first match deposit bonus. That's how you build and sustain a bankroll. Nothing we say here is better than taking advantage of all of those promos because it's free money back into your pocket instantly. All right, let's talk some wide receivers. And I just talked about Russell Wilson. Let's talk DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And I understand we would all have fancy islands if we could differentiate which one was going to go off on any given week. But Matt Savoca, you got to tell the people, who are they going to tilt at you on Twitter when you are wrong about which one goes off tonight?
Oh, man, they're going to tilt because I am going to take a stand and say that DK Metcalf is the preferred option here, just with the way that Russell Wilson looks off on the deep ball and the way that Tyler Lockett usually gets there being by efficient receiving games in with the deep pass. I feel like that's less likely to happen here. Of course, we can't figure out from game to game how this goes. Russell Wilson, when healthy, is good enough at just picking matchups and getting the ball into these players where they need to get the ball. But we have seen Metcalf over the first 2 games with Wilson back have a 5% lead on Lockett in target share. And while Lockett has 39% of the air yards, Metcalf's been right there at 32% of the air yards. So I am going to go there. Washington, by the way, has not been good on defense in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed headed into this week. They were second worst in the NFL as a defense, only to the New York Jets. So if there's a get-right game in Russell Wilson right now to one of these 2 receivers, it's this week against Washington.
All right. Going over to you, Neil Orfield, the famous question, over or under on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett?
It would appear that I am under on Tyler Lockett and over on DK Metcalf. That was kind of what I expected I would be. I mean, DK Metcalf has a positive leverage score, the second most positive leverage score of everybody in the game on DraftKings. And I like that. So I tried to get over the field on DK Metcalf and also forced him into the captain spot a little bit more than I usually do with wide receivers. Sometimes I find myself getting into way too much quarterback at captain. So I made a more conscious effort this week because I just think it's so likely that one of these guys can end up in the captain spot. So I am well over the field on DK Metcalf. Both at captain and in the flex, actually. And then I'm under the field on Tyler Lockett, just a little bit. He's projected for actually kind of a lot now that I'm looking at it. Tyler Lockett is projected for 41% ownership. Currently, I only have 19.5% in the flex spot. And 2.7% in the captain spot. That actually scares me a little bit. I think that if I recrunch, I try to get just a little bit more Tyler Lockett. But I love being well over the field on DK Metcalf. That was kind of a big focus of mine, trying to get over the field there. And I'm happy to be there.
All right. And then it gets thin. Freddie Swain, Dwayne Eskridge, Penny Hart. Oh, everybody wants to roster these guys for sure. But Freddie Swain, 12.2%. I mean, he's the cheapie. He'd be the wide receiver 3. From an optimistic perspective, I suppose he did put up 21 fantasy points in week 2 with Russell Wilson at the helm there, 5 for 95, but it was all pretty much in one big play. Still 5 passing, targets there, even 5 catches, 2,200 on DK. I guess that's doable. 11 that he put up against San Francisco, 3 catches for 20 yards and a tutty there as well. Are you looking at any of these ancillary Seattle options here, Neil, as a place to maybe try to extract some value on this slate?
Yeah, so this is one of the bigger stands that I'm taking just because of ownership and just trying to, differentiate myself. The stand that I'm taking is I'm trying to get well over the field on Dwayne Eskridge, just because of the trends. So last week, Penny Hart dropped from, he had been playing 16 to 17 snaps per game. Last week, he only played 4. Eskridge moved up from, so he came back week 9, only had 5 snaps. In week 10, he had 11 snaps. So my hope is that they keep working him more and more into the offense. I think coming into the year, it was expected that he would be the number 3 receiver. He is a rookie, so it wouldn't be surprising if it's taken a little while for him to get acclimated. So I'm just hoping that he's going to keep, taking on more and more of a role. I don't know that it's going to happen, but he has a low enough ownership. We've got him projected at 3.4% ownership at the minimum salary. My hope is that he's going to keep moving up. So I'm well over the 3.4% number. Freddie Swain also saw a season low in snaps last week. He only saw 20 snaps last week. So I don't love that. I would like to be probably above the field. I'm slightly under the field currently on Freddie Swain. I still think he's going to have a role in the offense, but I'm just, taking that optimistic approach and hoping that Dwayne Eskridge gets more involved.
We have R, just the letter R in the chat. Shout out. I don't know any other assessment other than that. Matt Savoca, he said Eskridge MVP. Are you going absolutely insane and playing Eskridge in the MVP?
I actually have over the field at Eskridge at MVP.
Wait, Neil, are you playing Eskridge at MVP too? Is this a thing that I've missed out on?
That's not hard to do. Right now, at the latest ownership projection, I believe it was 0.1% projected captain ownership.
So, I don't have any. That's just because the fantasy cruncher didn't give me any. I have 0%, but I wouldn't hate being over the field there.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I might have to make a share. I'm going to hand build one. Matt Savoca, go ahead.
It's a $200 salary, and I saw the same trends that you're seeing, Neil. I think that with D. Eskridge and Penny Hart, I think they're just rotating them in and out, seeing who hits, and if any of them have any good plays. I think it's a situation, too, if one of them makes a splash play, suddenly they get all of that snap share. And at 200 on DK, I'm willing to just mix that in and out. When you get up to Freddie Swain's salary, though, that's a little bit different. 2,200. Let me find some way to utilize that extra 2K up at the top. So for me, I'll be under the field on Swain. And if I get it wrong that way, well, yeah, I got it wrong on somebody other than Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So did everyone else.
Yeah, he's going to burn you on his limited snaps. And that's just going to be the way that this works out. Because Eskridge, I think, I'm seeing the same thing where I think he's just the better play. I was being a little bit facetious as far as saying that there's captain, but now that you both guys, Matt Savoca had some and Neil's like, oh, maybe I should. I'm going to just hand build one here as we're going along here. But that's the Seattle side. Just one, just to see how it feels. But here we go. Going to the Washington side, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. This guy is very good at football. 24.3 there the last time out, week 11 against Carolina in that W there. He has these massive spike weeks. Then he has these floor weeks. It's been a guy that it's been very hard for him to be consistent, though. But Matt Savoca, let's go back and start with you here again. Scary Terry, over or under the field?
Oh, this kills me that I'm slightly under the field because I think he's such a strong play. And in the lineups that I do have him, I really like him at the captain spot too. And one thing you have to say about McLaurin is that the guessing game that you have to do on the Seattle side isn't really there. There's no one even close to McLaurin in target share, in snap share, in air yard share. He has a level of command over the wide receiver core in Washington that you could never say about Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. It really is just the variability in performance that you're concerned about. I've seen some pretty good stats over the last 2 weeks. 162 receiving yards over his last 2 games, 2 end zone targets, and tied for the team lead in red zone target share. There's nothing to dislike about McLaurin except for salary concerns. He's over 10K on DraftKings, which can be tough sometimes. And if you're prioritizing other players, it sometimes means you get slightly under the field. I still really like him as a play.
Neil, we got people in the chat saying hashtag Team Orfield. I got to agree with that. I think you've been a great addition to the team here. I don't want to get too sappy. I know that Greg did once upon a time on one of your shows, and I'm not going to go down that route. I'm going to be the mean human being that I am to you and just hold you accountable for all your bad takes. But what are we kind of looking at doing with Scary Terry here today? Over or under?
I believe I am under the field. Yeah, he is the most negatively leveraged play on the slate right now. He's just too expensive relative to the Seattle receivers. Matt makes a good point that he's the only clear receiving option on the Washington football team in this game. Everybody else is just so muddled. You don't know who's going to be their number 2, what the snap shares are going to be. I don't love it. I kind of hate playing all of these Washington guys. I'm going to play some of all of them. But yeah, Terry McLaurin, I am currently under the field in the utility spot. I did force in, I believe I forced in a tiny bit of captain share because I was getting none of him in the captain spot. But he's more expensive than Taylor Heineke, and Taylor Heineke is just so much more likely to put up a big score. So yeah, I'm a little bit under the field on both. I'm a little bit under the field in flex. I'm actually still well into the field in the captain spot. I don't love it. I think that he's a fine play because it wouldn't shock anybody if Terry McLaurin did go off for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and if he was the optimal captain. It's just not the most likely scenario, and sometimes you have to make these decisions. And currently, given the negative leverage score, I'm a little bit under the field there.
Let's talk actual, really difficult things to predict here. That is where else the football is going to be going here for this Washington football team. I'm making a pretty strong stand with Adam Humphries. This is the guy that I'm going to kind of live or die with here. I know that he was coming in where he had a little bit of a hip issue, I believe is what they were talking about. And he's good to go. He's going to be out there. He put up just under 50% of the offensive snaps that he played here last week, but they were in a positive game script. They were up on Carolina there most of the way. Carolina trying to play catch up at the end. And I don't really see Adam Humphries being out there on 2 wide receiver sets very often, but I'm making a stand with him. You also have DeAndre Carter there. Somebody who's garnering quite a bit of attention here at 14.7% over on DK. Curtis Samuel, we talked about with his deep playability, even if he is going to be on a snap count. What are you doing with some of these other Washington football team ancillary options, Neil?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I'm well over the field on Adam Humphries. He just looks good. 2,800. He's only projected for 9.5% ownership. I think that's a spot that you can target. He might get a lot of targets in this game. So I really like Adam Humphries just because he has the history of getting pretty high snap counts, and he has been in recent weeks. It looks like I'm going to be over the field on basically all of these ancillary options, despite not really loving them. DeAndre Carter, I'm well over the field. Curtis Samuel was the one. So I adjusted late after I learned the actual snap counts. I adjusted lower on Curtis Samuel. I'm still kind of doubting myself just because it only takes one play for Curtis Samuel. And, how much do you really trust the coaches? Would it shock anybody if Curtis Samuel goes off? He was expected to be the number 2 receiver in Washington coming into the year. So I don't know. It scares me a little bit, but currently I am under the field on Curtis Samuel.
Neil makes a really good point because sometimes with these injured players, they obviously are not 100%, and they come in and the coaches say, no, this is not working. Maybe you can play a few snaps, but you're basically a symbolic play until next week. That occurs. But would it be surprising if Curtis Samuel comes in, plays 15 to 20 snaps, runs a route on every single one of them, sees a target on 40 to 45% of those routes because they're designing and calling plays for Samuel in those moments? I don't think that's the craziest idea, even if his snap share ends up pretty low.
All right. No, I think that's fair here as well. Tertiary options. That's the word that Lofty uses all the time. What other tertiary options are you prioritizing over there, Mr. Savoca?
Yeah, the only one other than Humphries and Samuel, again, who I'm getting to plenty of, is Carter, who has made a name for himself in special teams. That usually means that you have the ability to make people miss with the ball in your hands. That's really all we're looking for in a single game slate, especially with these dart throw kinds of plays. People who are getting snaps and can make people miss and try to break open a big play. Because if they score a touchdown, they're probably in the optimal lineup. So I have just over the field on DeAndre Carter, right at the field at the captain spot.
All right. Love it. Love it. Somebody said, is Eric high? Yes, I'm tinkering projections. Yes, I'm tinkering everything over here, but definitely not high. I'm in California. Not really my thing. Not that it would matter if it were your thing. I live in a legal state where it's legal. But yeah, absolutely not going to be something that I do because I don't need anything in my system when I'm doing shows. I'm already frenetic enough as it is. Maybe it would level me out. I have no idea. We'll find out one day. But hey, anything else to add to the wide receiver position for you, Neil, as we kind of move on to tight ends?
Yeah, so I have some interest in Diami Brown. I have some interest in Cam Sims, just because. So now this week, Dax Milne is out. He's actually seen 20 and 12 snaps the past couple of weeks. So maybe these guys get an uptick. Maybe they're not playing Dax Milne because they want to get one of these guys more involved. Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm just laughing because somebody just said Stony Baloney minus 200, and that's hilarious to me. Nice. I didn't imagine reading Stony Baloney in the chat referring to me being high or something, but again, good try. Keep on going here, Neil.
That sounds like an Alex Baker comeback.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really have a comeback for that. Also, did you just call out the boss man?
I mean, have you seen he has some great comebacks? No, I love him.
He does.
I'm not calling him out.
He's really good.
I'm appreciating.
He's about the wittiest dude we got, but it's a genius that goes a little bit underneath the radar for sure, or in DFS case, way above the radar because he's the best player in the world. Continue, Neil.
Yeah, so I think Diami Brown is projected for 0.4% ownership. Not hard to get over that. That's the kind of play that, nobody's going to play him. He's been getting snaps. It wouldn't be surprising if he gets a little bit more. So I like to take some shots on Diami Brown, and then also Cam Sims, kind of the same spot. Only projected for 2.5% ownership. He is 3,800, so it would take a little bit more for him to be optimal than Diami Brown, but it wouldn't take that much. So I like him as well.
All right, Nathan Joyce, Awesemo live before lock. He's one of the great guys who does a lot of the editing work here at Awesemo. Does a lot of things to cover our tracks here when we're writing articles, when we're putting stuff together. So shout out to him. But he said, Awesemo live before lock. Come for the Lockett and Metcalf takes. Leave with Neil Orfield, Penny Hart, and Dwayne Eskridge takes. I think that encapsulates these shows about perfectly. Could you ask for anything more, Matt Savoca?
I mean, other than my name not being involved in that description at all, no, not at all. I think it's perfectly encapsulates it.
Oh, well, there's a nice way to be able to hit that like button. Hit that like button for Matt Savoca. I think that would go a long way for him. We will give him all of the like buttons that we hit today. That won't be anything to do with Neil and I. So everybody just jam that thing, hit like. We've got 1.5K people in here right now, 1,500 people watching, getting all the information here, getting all the hot takes. So hit that like button. We really, really appreciate you being here. Again, use that promo code Cyber. I don't know what you're waiting for if you're a new user. All right, let's head on over to the tight end position from the Seattle side. This has historically been a side that you want to kind of get to, and every tight end since the beginning of time, or at least since the beginning of 2021, seems to score a touchdown in these primetime games. Gerald Everett, Will Dissly. Pick one of them here for me, Neil. Which one are we kind of prioritizing today?
We are prioritizing I have a little bit more Gerald Everett. I think that they're both fine plays. I actually kind of like both of them as plays. That's just currently where I'm at. I ended up getting more John Bates than anybody, but I like both plays.
Wait, what? Oh, no. You can't say that and then move on. You're getting to more of who?
John Bates. So that he's a Washington tight end. I was just going to wait until we got there. I didn't know if you wanted to ask me specifically about the Washington tight end.
Just because Logan Thomas is on the snap count now, so we're going to John Bates just in bulk.
Yeah, because Logan Thomas, yeah, exactly. Because he is on the snap count.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, John Bates saw 99% of the snaps last week, so I would expect him to be. That's pretty good, I think.
Okay,
it's high level. I would expect him to be the guy when Logan Thomas is not out there. We've got him projected for 4.4% ownership. I don't know if that's come up at all, but yeah, I'm just expecting him to be the tight end that's out there when Logan Thomas isn't. So I have some interest in John Bates there.
All right, Matt Savoca. We're going to stick with the Seattle Seahawks here to start off. Neil, I don't think he understands how this show works anymore. That just disappeared there for a quick second. He got so excited about John Bates, he wanted
to talk about him.
It was like, hey, pick Gerald Everett or Will Dissly. Oh, John Bates. Oh, perfect. Sounds great. Matt Savoca, help me out with Seattle tight ends.
I have never, ever been given a question and then redirected to a player that I wanted to talk about more. I have never done that in my life,
God, you
Neil.
guys are the
No,
worst.
the
I feel
Seattle,
bad.
on the Seattle side, I'm going with Gerald Everett. It's just a higher
Okay.
snap share, but I love people talking in the chat that Will Dissly is definitely going to be the optimal captain tonight. It's certainly in the range of outcomes here. I mean, between the two, Will Dissly over the last 2 weeks has 8 air yards. Gerald Everett has 48. They're not, neither of them are great, but they're still on an entirely different scale. So again, you need one target. The only difference here for me is salary. I'm not really prioritizing either of these players, but I'm actually slightly over the field on Will Dissly, mostly because that's pretty easy to do. We're seeing, not a great, we're seeing a good but not great score for me. At the captain spot, I don't really have him, so I'm sorry, chat. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you gotta apologize on the front end because that's just kind of how it works. Neil, going to the Washington tight ends here for you. Do you want to add anything to your John Bates, Logan Thomas lovely transition that you already did?
Yeah, so I was wanting to get to a lot of Logan Thomas until Rinpack broke that news to us about the actual snap counts. I wish I had that pulled up because I don't remember.
Okay, I've got it here for you. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to steal the thunder because it was Matt Savoca who broke the news. So we're going to go back to Matt Savoca. He read it on the top end of the show. For everybody who might be joining late, and it looks like we've had a lot of people joining here late, hit that like button once again. Matt Savoca, you've got the tweet on hand. I know you do because you're the most prepared man here at Awesemo.com. What did the tweet expressly say?
At Ethan underscore Cadeau, I should say, just said that Ron Rivera earlier on ESPN said that he's hoping for 30 to 35 snaps from Logan Thomas and 15 to 20 from Curtis Samuel. We kind of broke that down, how sometimes that can mean that they are truly hurt still and just trying to get a little game run, but sometimes they get plays designed for them in those only snaps that they're on the field. So it didn't really actually change my view of either player all that much, particularly Thomas. I do actually think, sorry to tangent just a little bit here, Eric. I do actually think it's important too, because Neil, you're excellent at this game we call DFS, but you're trying to win large field tournaments. And that's why you're looking at a player like John Bates. For players who are playing cash games or small field tournaments, it might be a better idea with your 1 to 3 to 5 lineups to go with Logan Thomas or go with the players who are playing higher snap shares. I think it's great, and to have Neil here to tell us these are the low owned plays that might help you win a tournament. But let's make sure to contextualize, in this situation, I do think when healthy, Thomas can get back up to that near 100% snap share. I'm just not sure it happens tonight.
All right, that's a great point. I appreciate you adding to that here. And I'm going to expand upon credit here for sure. We got the News God there in the chat popping up here. I guess Ryan might have gotten that tweet from News God, who News God had posted originally in Discord. So it all comes together eventually. The point is that we were able to get all the information together and be able to analyze it, be able to react to it. But News God, always watching, always taking care of us here in the premium Discord and elsewhere. So want to give him a shout out as well. Thank you so much to my dude over there. Also, he's been wrecking in some props here lately. He's been doing really, really good, utilizing a lot of the Odd Shopper stuff. So definitely head over to Odd Shopper. Take advantage of that because it's free right now. We want to continue giving it out to you for free, but you got to use it. Now there's an arbitrage that's being added to it. For those of you guys who don't know, please head over there and check out exactly what that is, because that is called free money when you're able to hit some of those middles. Alrighty, that's tight end. That's pretty much everything that we have to talk about. That, Neil, everybody's favorite time is kickers and defenses. Let's kind of wrap them all into one nice little package here. You know what? No, screw that. We're going to just go to kickers first. Which kicker, over or under, are you getting to more on this slate?
So Jason Myers is somebody that I was focusing on getting to more of because of the Showdown tool that we have. Jason Myers has the 4th highest positive leverage on the slate. So he just looks really good in the tools, and that's pretty much the only reason that I tried to get to more Jason Myers. I'm trusting the tools here. I like playing kickers anyway, just because the field often shies away a little bit. So yeah, I mean, he has positive leverage both in the captain spot and in the flex spot. That's all I need really to try to get over the field on Jason Myers. I say that and I'm still a little bit under the field currently, but if I'm able to run another crunch, I'm going to try to get a little bit over the field on Jason Myers. Yeah,
my main thing about talking about Jason Myers is how many times do you ever see a kicker nearing 5% captain optimal? I'm going to say very, very rarely, That is a gigantic number to be looking at. And normally, a lot of people, myself included in the past, removed kickers from that captain optimal spot. And I think in a game like this, where 47, there are definitely paths to it being lower scoring. For me, I definitely still expect some offense above expectation. 47 being the over under. They've both had just brutal schedules to this point. But Neil Savoca, I had asked you before about getting some Eskridge in the captain. Do you have any Jason Myers in the captain here tonight?
Got Jason Myers in the captain, got Joey Sly in the captain. I'm actually above the field at captain and at the utility on DraftKings.
Love it.
I think there are some ugly games if you played this slate over 1,000 times over and over again. Not saying it's the most likely thing, but again, when you see players show up in our tools like this, you kind of throw tradition and trends out the window. Clearly, we've picked up on something. Let's just build a few lineups that have that game flow in mind.
Did I say Neil Savoca? Is that something I said?
But
it was very
it's all good.
EMAC. Here's the thing. You have to understand, I do the Matt and Matt show. And so I have to call him Mr. Savoca. And then I go Mr. Gajewski back and forth the whole time. And again, it is craziness. I love you guys both. So it makes it super easy to go back and forth there. But I still find myself wanting to call you Mr. Savoca. And then when I do that on the front end, yeah, Neil Orfield. How about that? Or we could go Neil Savoca. That sounds like fun too. That's the other way of doing it. No, that's what I said before. It would be Matt Orfield. My brain isn't working. Don't listen to me. Maybe I am high and I don't know it. Neil Orfield, let's go back over to you here. Do you have any of the kickers in the captain spot tonight?
I do. I am over the field on Jason Myers in the captain spot. Okay. You brought up EMAC, so I just want to say real quick, EMAC 2024, baby.
Oh my, you were waiting for it.
I waited for my.
Put it back up. Put it back up.
Yeah.
Let's see this lovely thing. Can you get that in the Awesemo store? Is that where you got it at?
You can, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You should head over to the Awesemo store and get that.
I'm wearing the shirt too.
Oh my God. EMAC getting all the love. EMAC 2024 Lego. We should just end the stream here now. Matt Savoca, anything to add there?
I mean, should we just play some like presidential music and just, play it out?
Maybe you should sing it.
There it is.
That's the first time Matt Savoca's sung on stream, and it's kind of disappointing it was that. But it's not disappointing because it was, I guess, based around EMAC, my dude there in the chat. He's officially running in 2024. We should all be supporting him for, I don't know what, but we're absolutely supporting him because it's EMAC. All righty, let's talk defense, and then we'll have a couple of quick questions here at the very end as we're rounding it out. But I strongly urge you all take advantage of that Cyber deal first. And secondly, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. But Cyber, utilize that deal here now. It doesn't get any better than that. It's going to be over at 8:59 p.m. out here on the West Coast, 11:59 out on the East Coast. So go to utilize that, $7.50 for an entire week of Awesemo Plus tools and premium content. So utilize that immediately. But let's talk defense here. Looking at the tools here again, Neil Orfield. There we go. I did it correctly. Man, it was just really hard to figure that out. And also, oh, there it is. There's the deal one more time. I thought we needed to throw it up there, but Neil Orfield, defense is here. What are you looking at doing here with Seattle and with Washington in this spot?
Yeah, so I am currently slightly under the field on both in the flex spot. I think that they're both solid plays. I'm actually over the field, looks like, currently on the Seahawks and the captain. So I am going to try to run one more crunch to get closer to where I want to be. But I have a little bit of both in the captain spot. I'm just under the field in the flex spot. I think that they're both solid plays. Even though neither defense is that great, I think, neither offense has been that great this year either. Russell Wilson has shown some flaws. Taylor Heineke is not a world beater. So I'm not afraid to play these defenses. And as usual, I'm not afraid to play these defenses against the opposing quarterback.
All right, Matt, going back over to you. We got a $5 super chat I wanted to touch on, and this kind of ties into it with the Washington football team defense. But he goes, me again, boys, is it a fade Russell Wilson night, or do we think his hand is finally 100% tonight? I mean, I'm not feeling as enthusiastic about defenses simply because I like to roster defenses when they're not going to be super popular. I guess New England really poo-pooed on that against Atlanta, but thank God I couldn't play DFS in Hawaii, so it didn't matter to me. What are you looking at doing with the Washington football team and Seattle defenses?
I do have a little interest in the Washington football team, and this is where it comes into, you want to build lineups for specific game flows. So those lineups that include the Washington football defense, including the ones that have it in the captain spot, I don't have a ton of it, but those are specifically fading Russell Wilson and his top options in that scenario. So it's possible that Wilson is far from 100%, really hiding how bad that injury is, and the fact that he's playing as well as he is, good for him. I don't think that's the case, but we've seen bad defenses score touchdowns in weirder one-game slates, and they have a positive leverage score on the top plays tool, so I'm interested. Do I think that's the most likely thing here? No, I actually think Russell Wilson breaks out of his slump in this game, but that's really just my narrative on the game, not what the stats necessarily say.
Oh, we got to stick with you one more time. We've got somebody, Orton's Neckbeard, member for 9 months. He said, Matt, White Christmas rank, Bing, Elvis, Drifters, go.
Bing, Drifters, Elvis.
Neil, rank the 3.
Haven't seen him.
Well, you're a lot of fun.
Rendition. I mean, the Bing White Christmas
of White Christmases
is just perfect.
Oh, Neil, come on now.
You're
from Minnesota. You're from Minnesota. You'll have time between now and March to enjoy some snow outside and figure out what the hell we're talking about. So go do that. And then I'm going back to you now, Neil Orfield, as well. Due to it being Russell Wilson's birthday, is he the only captain tonight? I say no. How about you?
Lock him in.
Oh,
I didn't realize it was his birthday. If it's his
Yeah.
birthday, you got to lock him in. I'm not factoring that in there. I'm going to have a mix of captains. Obviously, especially on DraftKings. If you wanted to lock him in as captain on FanDuel, I think that's perfectly fine. You just got to get different elsewhere if you do that. It's not an approach that I'm taking tonight.
All right, we got 4 minutes. Make sure everybody, you get your lineups in. Thank you so much to everybody hanging out with us on this lovely Monday evening. No, there's no place I'd rather be for sure than talking DFS, talking football, hanging out with some of my buddies here. So hit that like button for us and subscribe to the channel. You want to be hanging out here too. You need us on this channel. How about that? And then we've got Nick Lapri over there, Notorious Fantasy, stopping by. Hello, friends. Hello back to you, my dude. Great work on Sunday nights, doing a lot of stuff for the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel as well. Check out some of his work. But this is the question I always like posing to my guys here on Monday nights. Neil, who is the most important player to you? Who do you want to have go off more than anybody else on this slate?
D. Eskridge.
Dear Jesus. Matt Savoca, save it.
Who do I want to go off the most? It's actually Russell Wilson. I want the get right game to happen. I want 3 touchdowns and something like 9 or 10 yards per attempt.
You understand, we're all going to be watching football for the next 2.5 hours, and we're going to be tilting this dude his like 2 catches for 23 and hoping that it ends up optimal. Can't wait for that event. Very much looking forward to it. Man, Showdown is just the absolute best / worst. But you know, what can you do? It's what we've been given, and it's a lot more entertaining than what these primetime games have been lately. I don't know what I would do without DFS here. There's no doubt about it. Any final questions from people? Final score predictions. That seems like a fun one too. Neil Orfield, what's your final score prediction for tonight?
Ooh, I'm gonna go football team 27-24.
Ooh, I love the little contrarian stance slightly. I mean, they're nearing a field goal dog, but Matt Savoca, how about for you?
I wrote in the write-up that I had a low-scoring game. I believe Seattle 20, Washington 19. That's what I'm kind of pointing to in my stats. But what I want, Seattle 30, Washington 19.
I want Seattle 35, Washington 31, but that's not going to be what it is. Let's go 31-27. We're going to go Seattle. Takes this one down again. Number 1 strength of schedule. The NFC West is just a disaster for how hard it is this season. 3-7 Seattle. That should be some evidence. Of course, you did have Russell Wilson out there for a hot second, so that's never going to look good either. But everybody, make sure you have those lineups in here. Let's just go to the final words for the people here right off the bat, and we'll kind of close this out. Neil Orfield, any final words for the people?
Let's go win some money.
Matt Savoca, any final words of wisdom for the people building lineups, the guys that are crunching right now and sweating, hoping that they get everything in?
Appreciate you guys all watching, and Taylor Heineke could run for 50 yards in this game if we don't factor in the scrambling for Heineke.
All right, Matt Savoca, this is a great question for you then. Heineke or Lockett in one lineup?
Heineke or Lockett, one lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Our tools say Heineke. Go for it.
All right. And then Neil Orfield, Dallas or Carter in one lineup?
Ooh, I think I'd go Dallas.
Dallas. All right. Yeah. Dallas, DJ Dallas is probably the guy that I want to have go off more than anybody else here in this spot. I guess maybe I was underselling that. Him and Adam Humphries, if they could both score a touchdown today, I don't know. I'll eat chalk again on a stream. I don't care. If they both score a touchdown in this game, I will absolutely do that because, nothing is off limits here. But of course, that is the Live Before Lock show. Thank you so much to Prize Picks for their sponsorship. Thank you so much to Mike Lawrence behind the virtual glass there. Awesemo, taking care of us, doing a great job. Welcome to the team, my guy. He's been crushing it here for the last month, 2 months here. Really doing an amazing job producing some of these shows. So give him some love in the chat. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. He's Matt Savoca. He sings really well. Neil Orfield, he plays DFS really well. I'm Eric. I do everything okay. We'll see you guys later.